We're going to be talking about how to identify the glass ceiling in your career. So if you're one feeling stuck, or you're not sure why you're not able to advance and grow as you should, this is definitely the live stream for you. I want to be able to help you put words to those emotions that you may be feeling right now. So I know that there are a lot of people that may feel that stuck feeling. And so I definitely want to not only be able to help you to put words to it, but I want to be able to help you to know how to really move past that. So let's go ahead and deep dive in. And I first want to really talk about what is a glass ceiling. Because I know when we're talking about you hitting that glass ceiling in your career, you can have heard the term and you can be like, yeah, I think that's me. But I really want to talk about what that glass ceiling really means. So when we're talking about you hitting that glass ceiling, we're almost talking about you have hit some kind of barrier. There's something that has stopped you from being able to go to that next phase or that next step. The reason why it's called glass because it's not something that you can easily see. So you have seen and have known that wait a minute, I'm not growing or I'm not advancing in my career as I should be. But at the same time, you're not really sure what it is. And that's one of the things that I help even the clients I work with is to help them to see what is that actual that thing right there that is not allowing you to grow. Now, we're talking about grow all areas. There are certain areas that you should expect growth in, such as those skills, such as what? Money. And so what could be a glass ceiling for you may not be the same thing for everybody else, right? So I definitely want you guys to really lean in and hear these tips and signs because it's so important that if you don't know what is holding you back in your career, it is going to hold you back forever. And what also happens is you find yourself starting to put too much on the wrong thing. And so it's very, very important to not just know, okay, there's something off, but it's very important to actually find out what that thing is. Because most times you can find yourself feeling stuck in your career and you can just automatically assume that this thing that's holding you back is just so huge and it's so big, right? But once you start to really get clear on what that thing is, you're like, oh, okay, it's not as huge as I think it is. And a lot of times you can find yourself being stuck in your career and you know that you want to make a change or you know there's something that needs to change, but you've already have yourself in this mindset of, I feel like if I make this change, I think that it's just way huge. And it's not, it's just about you having to get clear on what it is that is actually there. So the first sign that I want to really talk about is when you find yourself in this place of I feel stuck, the first thing that you'll see is that you are not able to experience the growth at the speed that you feel, right? And I think it's really, and this is why it's important, guys, to really, really, really have goals. Because if you don't have clear goals, it's not easy to see if you're stuck because you don't really have anything to really measure it by, right? But once you get clear goals and you start to see, wait a minute, I'm not able to hit those goals as fast as I thought. Now that is like your little compass almost. But if you don't have any clear goals, it's easy to just go to work every day, year after year, and you're in this phase and you're not seeing any growth because there isn't any goals there. But once you start to put clear goals into place, now you're able to really identify, hold on, something's not right here. Right. And so if you are one that you're like, Alicia, I'm not really sure if I've actually hit that yet. It's so important to really look back at those goals and see when was the last time you actually looked back at your goals. Because for some people, it's easy to set goals, but it's not easy to actually maintain them. We've all been there. January is here. I'm like, okay, this year I have decided that I want to lose five pounds in the next month, right? And everybody's so excited. But how many know around March, if that goal is no longer in our mind anymore, right? So that's why it's really, really important that if you do feel yourself just kind of just coasting, go back and look at your goals. And then also it's so important to look back at those goals to see if those goals are the same. Another sign that you have hit that wall is you have been passed over at work. So if you desire to advance in the role that you are in now, it's hard to advance in your role. Every time you express, that there are certain other roles that you want, you don't really see anything there. That's definitely a sign that you have hit something. And for a lot of people, it's just because they have not really honed in. I talk about this every live stream, so I think it's so important. And this is the core of what I teach. One of the things that I help my clients do is I help them to find out what it is that they really want. A lot of times when I work with them, they're at a place where they're either bored or stuck. They're not sure of what's next for them. Well, a lot of times it's hard for them to see what's really next for them is because they don't really know those core skills, and all they think about is just those tasks that they do every day. And so anytime they say things like, Alicia, I'm bored or I'm stuck, it's because they're just so consumed with those everyday tasks, and they have not been able to like zoom out and see their core skills in their true light. So a lot of times when you do want to advance in your role and you're not able to really get the opportunities that you think that you should get, is because you are not trying to lean in on the right things. Because the way that you advance is being able to really stand out. And I know that word stand out can make some people feel overwhelmed because they think that in order to stand out, it's certain hoops and loops and things. No, it's strictly about you being able to really get clear on the value that you bring. But if you have gotten to a point in your career where you find yourself very, very laxed, right? Or just in this whole coasting phase, it's hard to lean in on that. And it's hard to really get the opportunities, right? And so what I want to do now is I want to like share some examples of what that brick wall is for some people. For some people, it is how you think about yourself. Okay, you guys talk about that all the time. I will not go into detail. If you guys want to hear about that, you can probably hear and watch any of my past streams. It is really about how you think about yourself. Another one is you find yourself not like risk. You don't want to take any risk. Another one is not having enough support. So sometimes when you hit that brick wall, it's not always you. A lot of times, I say a lot of times, half and half, it's not you, but it's who you work for. Sometimes the people that you work for is your glass ceiling, right? That's why it's important that when you feel these things, that you don't automatically just think, oh, it's me. Now, it's good to examine yourself, right? It's very good to be aware of yourself, but don't just think it's just you. Sometimes you are in a place that is your glass ceiling, meaning that they don't have any other opportunities for you to actually do anything with. Or a lot of times there isn't enough support there, meaning that if you do desire a certain role, I believe that you should have some kind of support. And when I say support, support is not always a certain training class. Sometimes support just needs to be somebody there who you are able to express just all of these goals that you have. And a lot of times you'll find yourself afraid to express any goals that's outside of the job now, because you think that if I share this with them, then they'll think that I want to quit. Right. And I think that's like the worst environment, because when you find yourself in that environment, you will find yourself with all of these ideas in your mind and all of these ways that you want to grow, but there isn't anybody at your work to actually support you. And sometimes support is you just being able to get feedback. Sometimes you need feedback, right? And so I think it's really important for you to start thinking, okay, if I'm doing everything that I know I should do, but I'm not experiencing the growth in my career that I think that I should, start to identify, is it really you? And another thing is when you work for a boss that is not on your side, child, I'll say this. I believe what the Lord has for you is for you. But I also believe that God will remove you from certain things as well, right? Because when you have a boss that is not on your side, when you have somebody that does not really care concerning your growth or any of that, when they are only for them, it will be a lot harder to advance, because what's happening is that a lot of times these great opportunities that could happen at work, a lot of times it goes through them. But this is also on both sides. This is why it's important for you to not be afraid to really lean in and start to learn the people around you. Not saying that these folks got to be your best friends, but at the same time, you got to know how to be able to really engage with the people that you work with, so you are able to express different goals and things of that sort. But on the other hand, right, if you have a boss that is not for you, for one, you will not thrive in the way that you should. And I know that we've all have experienced that. We've had a boss that really wasn't on our side. And when I say on our side, I mean that they really did not care about your growth at all. For them, all it was about was just results. I think it's really important for you to really sit down and start to think about, is this wall that I've hit in my career, is it me or is it who I work for? Because that's huge. I say all the time that in your role, they should have some kind of like growth plan for you. A lot of times they don't, which is still on you. It is still on you to have your own growth plan, but they should have some kind of growth plan for you, meaning that since you are there, what is the plan they have for this role? So you are able to grow and advance in the role. Now, if they do not have one, again, it is still on you, but that does not mean that you cannot have a talk with them to sit down with them and think about, hey, are we able to even make some outline of some kind of growth plan. Because if you don't think about the actual growth that you have and they don't, and that growth of yours is not even on their mind, then who is thinking about your growth? So if they don't think about your growth and you don't think about your growth, who's thinking about your growth? And this is how you just kind of fall to the side and those skills get stuck and you be in your role for 5, 10 years underpaid, right? And now you find yourself in this field to where there are all kind of new trends and things that's happening in this field, and you have fell all the way behind. And what happens is for any reason, if you get fired or have to leave your job, and now you're thrown back into this job space, and now you have to go look for a job, and now you feel out of place, and those skills are stale. So you see how this is like something that you just can't just ignore, but it's something that you really got to lean in on and start saying, okay, if they don't think about my success, I have to. It's so sad that a lot of these places don't have one, but if you have not asked, ask them. Say, hey, what is the actual growth plan for my role? And if they say, I don't have one, now half of me says that's a red flag. The other half of me is going to extend some grace and say that's a yellow flag. It's a flag there, okay? But it's something that should not be ignored. And so if they do say, no, this isn't something that we have in place, then say, hey, are we able to sit down and really think of a plan? So the next wall that is there is also not having a work-life balance. And a lot of people, they don't see this as a wall, but it is a huge wall. When you have found yourself stressed out, when you find yourself not being able to have time to spend time with people that you love or the things that you love or with yourself, it is like a huge domino, because it's not just about you not having time for you. It's about what happens when you don't have time for you. It's about what happens when you are burnt out. It's about what happens when you are stressed out. It's about what happened when you don't find yourself being able to have enough rest. So it's not just, oh, okay, not having enough breaks. No, it's about you not having the time for one to rest. Also, it's about you not having the time to spend time with people or the things that you love, because when you can't spend time with the people or the things that you love, it births guilt. So even though you may find yourself at work being able to bring forth results that are great and awesome, you can't fully enjoy them because it's a guilt there. It's a guilt there of, I have not been able to spend time with the people or the things that I love. So you'll find yourself in a place to where you do experience some success in your career, but it's hard to really enjoy it at the capacity that you should be able to, because there is some guilt there, because you know that you have been having to pour so much time here, and that there are other things in your life that are dead or either dying, right? And so I think it's really important that you start to identify, is this wall that you hit in your career guilt? And that guilt a lot of times comes from you not being able to understand that you have a career, but you also have a life. And that's why it's important. I say all the time that your career is not your life, that the career that you have needs to support the life that you want. Because again, it doesn't matter about how much success you may experience. If you do not have enough time to be with the things and the people that you love at the end of the day, it won't feel like success. And so you'll find yourself trying to keep on working. But this whole part, I even hate to say part, because think about your life, I don't really see it as a part. This whole you is not being served. Though they're at work and you are able to serve hard at work, you are not being served. Because at the end of the day, when you work for somebody, you are there. Your skill set serves their goals. But if all you do is serve their goals, then who is there to serve you? And so you'll find yourself in this big old loop of, I'm not happy. Though you can find yourself, right? Because I have some clients, they are paid well, but they're like, Alicia, I'm not happy. I'm not fulfilled, because they know. And this is the thing, it's so important I tell my clients all the time, you really need to sit down and just have a time to really think. I don't think they don't have enough time in their life to really think and to really make sure that everything is in alignment with how things should be. I love to spend time with the Lord, right? I do. As far as me having to pray, I do that all the time. But I still have a note in my mind once a month to sit down and just breathe like I'm not trying to be funny, but just okay. Meaning, and when I say that, meaning like let everything just slow all the way down. Right. And I have a time to look back over everything and to assess, where am I now? And me being able to assess is not something like I'm trying to sit down and like mark things down. No, it's about me being able to sit down and make sure that I have stayed on the path that I said, because you can find yourself in one starting point, but life happens. Things happen. You have people always pulling on you and they always need stuff from you. And so as you go to tend to everybody else, you can find yourself slowly off of the track that you should be on. And what happens is you can find yourself in a place to where you get so consumed with work and work and work and work and work, or just having to serve and serve and serve and do all the things that you have not had a moment to where you can sit down and say, hey, am I still on the right track? Right. And so what happens all the time, I see it all the time where people in their career, they're successful. They have results in successes and their skill set is great and they have this great expertise. But it's been a while since they sat down and really thought about what is it that you want? Or at one point in time, they said, I want X, Y, and Z. But as time went on, they changed. And so now they are trying to have themselves on the path that they don't even want no more. But they are not aware that this is not the path that I want anymore because they have not even had the time to sit down and even think about it. They're like, why is it that I'm not happy? This is the thing that I said that I thought this was something good. It was good at one time. It's just not good anymore. Right. But you have not allowed yourself the space to really get clear on what is the gap here. And sometimes that gap could be, I am in a job that's not bad, but I'm not as excited about it as I should be. There's a gap there. Right. And so I think it's important to look back at your life and see where you are now and see what have you actually put first. Because, if you ask anybody, most people will say, no, my job is not first. But when you look at their schedule, when you look at what they spend the most time on, when you look at what is on their mind the most, when you look at what is the thing that holds the steering wheel, it's their job. You have to come to a place just in your mind to where you decide, and it's now a reality that you deserve the time to just sit with yourself and see, where are you? Are you still on the path that you said that you should be on? And so, with the clients that I work with, I think it's one of the things I do is that I don't even, first of all, I don't even really talk about their skills or expertise and all that stuff. That happens down the road, but I really help them to get back to them. I've had some of my clients on the call with me, like they'll start crying because they're like, oh my God, I've not thought about me in so long. And it feels good. You'll be surprised that once you get your mind on you and what it is that you want and be clear on where it is that you are now, how like all that fog is gone, right? So when you're thinking about this wall that you've hit in your career, think about, is it that you feel this wall because your career is not in the place that it should be, meaning that that career is too far up. You not being able to have a good hold on your work and your life, it affects other areas because now when you should be at work there to thrive and to bring forth results and to be excited about the things that you do, you're not. You're there and everybody can see that you're at work, but in your mind you're gone. In your mind you're actually bitter. In your mind there's guilt. There's all these other things. Hey, good morning. It's all these other things that's happening in your mind because you know that the areas that I love the most, I cannot show up there the way that I am here, right? And so I think it's important to really lean in on that and start to ask yourself, have I put this job or all of my successes and my achievements, have I put it in the wrong place? I tell people all the time, when you are on your last day here, work is not going to be on your mind. It's just not. Now, there are certain seasons in your career where work is a lot more, where you find yourself having to lean into work a lot more, but it should just be a season. It should not be a way of life to where your career just has full control over every area in your life. I do not believe that that's the way that it should be. When work consumes you, I know I'm talking a lot about this because I know a lot of people deal with this. When work consumes you, you don't realize that you really train yourself to believe that my needs and my expectations, they don't mean nothing because you always put the needs and the expectations of everybody else first. So again, it's not just about how much you work. It's about what is it or how is it that you actually train yourself and what is the relationship that you have with your work. Again, having a job is great. I talk about all the time how you should show up at work and thrive. I think you should, but I think that when you put work too far up on the list, you now have this job in the wrong place. And this is why a lot of times, you have people that would think that who they are is the things that they do at work, and it's not. You are a whole other person outside of work. A lot of times you can feel like I'm not fulfilled in my career, and it may not even be anything wrong with your job. That feeling of I'm not fulfilled could be because you have not been able to give those things outside of work the time. And so all you feel is like I'm not fulfilled at work because you spend the most of your time at work. But the reason why you are not fulfilled is because you spend the most of your time at work. This is not just for the people that have kids and a family. Even if you're by yourself, you still need time for you. It's so important to understand that life goes beyond just what you do at work. It's really important to understand that. And so if you hit that glass ceiling in your career, it could be nothing wrong with your job. It's just that you don't have anything else outside of work. When I say have anything else, meaning that you have not poured into anything else outside of work, right? So sometimes you just got to come back and just recenter things and get things back in the place that they should be. I keep talking about this because this wall, it hits almost all of these walls on my list, right? Because if you start feeling like your job is everything, then you'll start to hop through hoops and start to find yourself in this, I got to do everything I can to just make sure this job is mine. So then that comes with you not being able to set clear boundaries. That comes from you in this whole people pleasing mode. You in a mode where you got to please people all day long, child, that is draining. And so, at the end of the day, you feel like, oh, child, I'm exhausted. Yeah, you're exhausted because you have had a mask on all day, because you have told yourself that I have to be a certain way in order to feel accepted with the people that I work with. So it is draining to have to wear a mask every day. Now, when it's time to go home from work, you don't know how to not have on the mask. And now you've been going months and months and months and months and months and months as somebody who you not even really are. And now you don't even know who you are. So you see how this goes into a cycle? You see how important it is for you to identify what is the problem? Because most people can, for the most part, it's easy to sense, hey, something's off here. Yeah, okay. But what is off, right? So important for you to really lean in on that so you know what it is to fix. And so, because what happens is if you say, oh, I'm just not happy here, I'm not fulfilled. When the real reason is, the reason why you're not happy is because you don't really serve you the way that you should be serving you. And you don't even really set clear boundaries with anything. What do you think is going to happen when you get the new job? The same thing. Now, the first 3 months could be exciting because, that whole, new car smell, but you will always resort back to you. Always. So that's why it's important that as you identify these glass ceilings, get clear on them. If this is something that you need help with, say, Alicia, I sense a glass ceiling. I don't know what's going on. Book a call with me. It's free. So I can help you to be able to identify what is the glass ceiling. Because if not, you're going to find yourself going around and around and around and around in a circle. And you're not going to be clear on what is actually happening here. So, and again, one of the things the reason why I do what I do, because you guys know that I was in HR for over 10 years. I know this whole corporate game. I know this whole people pleasing, proving yourself, having to overwork yourself. I know all that, but I want to be able to help you to get away from that. And I want to be able to help you to be sure in the value that you bring. And I want to be able to help you to plan your career based upon the life that you want. It's so important that you feel that you have the control over your career. I don't care if your career is in the dirt right now. You still hold the power over it. And it's so much more in the dark times that you understand that you hold the power in your career. Because it's easy to say that when things are going good and great, right? But in those moments that, man, my career ain't where it should be, that's the main time to really believe that you hold the power. Because when you understand that you hold the power in your career, you understand that you can change it. When you have let go and when you don't have the power in your career, that's how you start to feel stuck. You start feeling like there is no other option. This is what it is. You have now handed that thing over. But when you have the power in your career, it can be in shambles. It can be in the depths of hell. You're like, you know what? I have the control. Because when you know that you have the control, now your mind is not on, oh, woe is me, pity me. Now it's, what is it that I need to do to change this? And that's why it's so important you can definitely acknowledge your emotions. I think it's really important to acknowledge how you feel, but I don't think it's the best thing to just sit there and just play, victim me. I just don't think so. I told somebody, I said, all this time you sitting up here complaining with these excuses, friend, you could be getting together a plan. And I say that because I don't think that we talk enough about those dark times, or those times in your career when things ain't hitting the way that they should be hitting. Them times when you like, wait a minute, I'm not being paid the money that I should be being paid. And it's taking everything in your spirit, your power, your gut to not just walk out and leave. But I think in those moments, it's important to really lean in on, well, wait a minute, okay, hold on, and start thinking, wait a minute, I may not like what I see right now, but I have the power to change it, right? And so, but most people put that power with their boss. They will allow who they work for to shape their path. I absolutely not. They will allow who they work for to shape how fast they advance and grow. And they will allow who they work for to shape their goals. Absolutely not. You should be looking for a space that is in alignment with your goals. They do not decide your goals. They should not really have any say in them. When I say say, meaning like they should not be able to say, yay, no, that's on you. So who you work for should be in alignment with your goals, and they should allow you to really get in a place to where you can hit those goals. And once you realize that they can't hit them goals, baby, it's time to go. Because when you sit around and you wait for, oh, I think they may change their mind, you've now handed your power over to them. You have now allowed them to decide how fast you will grow. You have now allowed them to decide how much you gonna make. So do you see how all of this comes? How I want to change the way that you think about your career? That you should be steering that wheel, friend. But again, I know this is only for a certain kind of folk. Everybody ain't going. Because there are some people that say a job is a job. Hey, cool, but you're not my cup of tea. I'm not your cup of tea. I'm for the people that they really desire. Like the people that tend to enjoy me are the ones that the work they do means something to them. It doesn't mean that it has to be their heart passion and they gotta no. But it's important for them to enjoy what it is that they do. Right. So if you're one that's like a job is a job, I'm probably not for you, and that's okay. But the people I work with, they really desire for their work to mean something to them. There are ones that they tend to go hard in everything that they do, because I'm the same way, right? And they really do desire a career that they can feel something about. And I think it's important for you guys to get clear on where you are. Just think about it. I said all the time, just think about it. If you lean in for the next 6 months, if you just lean in for the next 6 months, if you just get clear for the next 6 months and fix what's wrong, think about how things can change. And this is why I need you to know you control your career, not the job market, not the, oh, but things are so bad right now. That what they got to do with you. I have clients getting amazing opportunities. Why? Because they are focused on what they want and not what's happening around them. You have to realize when you find yourself being able to get clear on what it is that you want, what's next, have a plan, you have already done what the other 95% have not done, especially right now. If you want to look for a job in the season that we are in now, and guess what? This season is going to pass. You need to get clear on what you want. This is not the time to find yourself playing guess a move on what job. No, because that's what everybody else is doing. Very few people are trying to lean in on something and go all in. Everybody's like, okay, apply, 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 apply. That's not going to work for you right now. But what's going to work is you being able to dig deep and not wide. Oh no, it's the exact opposite of what people are doing. Go deep, not wide. That is how you are able to see results. I have clients now in their current roles, raises. They've been able to get huge amounts right now. You say, what in the space that we are in now, when folks are being, fired from jobs and being, yes, because understanding the part that you play in their success, understanding the part that you play in their success and leaning in on that and also leveraging that. You have to know that. You have to. And you have to know even in times like this. I think I said it on my last live stream this week. I was saying even in times like this, you have to know that the work is still there. It's still there. So when they have to let folks go, it's not so much of, oh, because work has slowed down or these tasks and things are not there, or no, their doors are still open. They still want success. And so, but it's all about you being able to know the value that you bring and be able to know what to do with it. This is a way to really stand out as of right now. It's important. So for that one who maybe already has a job and you're like, Alicia, I really want something else, be able to identify what is that wall right there. It's so important to understand like what that wall is. So important. And even if you right now you don't have a job, and if you are in the middle of your search, you still have to know what that actual wall is. But I really want you to be strategic in this time. It's so important. I can't even express to you how important it is. Right. So don't just think about the task that you do. Think about what is the results that you bring forth, and think about the things that you solve with your skills. Don't be afraid to go deep. And when I say go deep, what I'm talking about is don't be afraid to like lean in on something. right? Meaning that if you have already been able to get clear on those core skills, how it is that you serve with the skills that you have, don't be afraid to just look for roles in that area. Now, I know, I do want to say this now, because you got bills to pay. I have a family. I'll do what I have to do. I'm not saying like to just go all in, meaning don't go poor. But I really feel like even in hard times, and you like, Alicia, I have to pay bills. I think there's a level of strategy that you can even use in hard times. Meaning that if you know that this is the role that you really want, but maybe right now it's really not there, the opportunity is not there. Think more about who you want to work for rather than what it is that you want to do, right? Because even if you can't get that role right now, find ways to where you can get as close to that role as you possibly can. Even in hard times, you don't have to like throw all your goals away. Just think about, this is the goal that I want, but what is the step or the road right before that goal? Really think about that. And you'll be surprised, even in these hard times when you feel like I want a job, but things feel hard and feel tough. You'll be surprised when you start to get clear on your skill set. You start thinking about how creative can you get with your skills and how far can those skills stretch. Also, I'm throwing you all kind of gems right now. You need to know what is going on now, just in the world overall, even in this whole workspace. Think about what is actually happening now. Right now, one of the things that I'm seeing a lot of is just technology, but I'm talking about in the sense of where you look at these brands and different things, they're now, it's like they now want to bring in community, right? For them, it is more about not just an actual product, but for more of them, it's more about branding. And this goes from the small companies all the way up. For instance, Threads. I don't know if you guys know, but IG has a new app out called Threads. When you really look behind the concept of Threads, Threads came from, you see now a lot of people make content. It's something that is just like everywhere. Like, and it's not just people that own a business, y'all. It's everywhere. You got to drive me crazy. And it's not just people who own a company. It's like everybody, right? And so what they wanted to do with Threads was they wanted to have it to where you, how can I put it? Like you can share your thoughts without a lot of steps. Like for instance, on IG, you guys know in order to post to IG, Lord, you got to do so much. But with Threads, it's you just being able to just open up your app and just bam, 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 right? So what they wanted to do with Threads was they desired to have it to where you are able to just really just share your thoughts, right? And so when I see these kind of ideas happening, for me, what I see is a lot of creative jobs are there now. So it's not just about what those hard skills are, it's more about they want to hire people who know how to think about things, and they understand the times that we are in now. And that's why I said it's really important to really lean on your skills and start seeing how far that those skills stretch. Because we look at companies like Facebook, IG, I'm not saying to go work for them. I'm talking about all of these new things that I'm seeing is that now it's more about creative, and you really starting to see that they are wanting to lean more in on not just on things that have already been there, but now they're wanting to lean a lot more into ways that they're able to kind of bring everybody, right? And so I want you guys to even think about the skills that you have and think about how far those skills stretch, especially if you want that you love things like that. And if you love things like that, I think it's really important for you to be able to really lean in on that and see, hey, how far do my skills stretch? If you are one that loves writing, that is a high end demand skill right now. Right. And I'm not saying to pursue that. I'm just throwing stuff out there, right? Because the society that we are in is starting to move a lot more towards that way, even with the whole HR jobs. I've seen people who have large followings online land great opportunities, not because their skill set is so great. It's because they know that these people have access to a large talent pool. Now, that this is not saying to go out and just start to just do stuff online, but I'm sharing different sides of this, right? And so I need you to know that it's so much more that you can actually leverage now. It's not just about your past experiences anymore. I tell people that you're able to do whatever that you like. You can literally be whoever you want to be right now. You can literally do whatever you want to do right now. I had a client about 2 months ago. It was a very special niche that she did. I helped her to pitch a new role. So she knew that it was something, she knew that it was something in her space. This is something that they need. But that role wasn't really out there. So I helped her to make herself her own job. I'm talking about you being able to create the opportunities that you want. So even in a time where it seems like, ooh, it's things out here are tough right now. Maybe this is the time to create opportunities. So even if you don't see the opportunity that you want, go create it. I have a client that I worked with about maybe 6 months ago, because one of the things I do for my clients, I don't just help them find jobs. I help them to get clear on that expertise, to get clear on those core skills. I help them to be able to really monetize their expertise outside of their job, right? So these are not people that want to own a business full time, but especially the times that we're in, I think you definitely need to know how to use your expertise and learn how to build something on the side for yourself. So in hard times, you know how to fall on something, right? And so that's what I help my clients do. And it's not because I'm so smart. For one, this is something I did for myself. I was in HR. I used my own experience to start my own thing, but it's just about you being able to know your expertise well. And so one of the things that I helped her do was consulting. Ain't a full-time business. Mm-mm. She does it maybe 10 hours a month, if that, because she has an expertise. And so with that, she's able to make good money, good side money. Because again, even in these times, y'all, even though the people are being laid off from work, the work is still there. So even if you can't find a full-time job right now, these people, they will actually hire them, consultants, right? And so again, even in times like this, things seem dark, the opportunities are there. But it's going to be up to you to think outside the box, to know your expertise, to know the problems you can solve with your skill set. You have to know that. Okay. So if you need help with that, book a free call with me. If you need help on being able to identify what is that wall there, book a free call with me. Okay. And if you do want to keep up in the know of of everything that I have going on, please join my tribe. You can go to that's careertea.me. That's careertea.me and sign up. And that way you're able to stay in the loop of everything. And so please go enjoy the rest of your day. And I will talk with you guys soon. Okay. Bye, y'all.